My name is Heidi Boulanger, and I'm here today to introduce you to Roger Rule, author of The Rifleman's Rifle and other books, and host of this series of episodes, Special Guns with Roger Rule.
Thank you, Heidi, and welcome. Welcome, viewers, to my 32nd episode of Special Guns with Roger Rule.
Looks like we have another rifle here today.
Yes, we do. And I have been repeating for our viewers that these recent videos are to introduce the Italian guns and the amazing Italian engraving. Today, I have the privilege of honoring one of the best gun makers in the world, the Italian gunmaker Carlo Casartelli. We have one of his special rifles, and it gives us another look at the incomparable art of the Italian master engraver Mario Terzi, introduced in episode 28.
A superstar Italian master engraver.
Yes. Here in our country, many have never heard of Carlo Casartelli because he made so few guns and had little importation into the United States. Located in Concessia Brescia, Italy, still part of the heartland of the best Italian master gun makers and master engravers, Carlo stood out as a best gun maker second to none. Casartelli built bespoke, ultimate quality magazine rifles, double rifles, and side-by-side Silock shotguns, and was always backlogged in work.
Bespoke means the same as custom ordered?
Yes, purchased in advance, under contract, and usually with a deposit and waiting for the gun to be made and delivered. In Italy, one of Casartelli's faithful admirers called him the Stradivarius of gun makers. Although his marketing materials listed 4 models, all were only made if custom ordered. He was another handmade gun maker and a guild maker, buying many of his rough-made components and completing the gun with many of his own handmade parts and hand finishing and hand fitting. We don't know for sure, but based on the timing, it would appear that the same economic problem of Italy in 2012 that affected so many Italian gun makers may have forced him out of the market. Today, if you can find one, it is still a masterpiece of gun making, and it holds its value well. Like Bertuzzi, Bossi, and Aberatico and Salvinelli, Carlo favored the Holland and Holland Royal Silock side-by-side for his shotguns and for his double rifles. But where he differed from most handmade Italian gun makers is that he was also a builder of fine rifles as well as shotguns, similar to Perugini and Vicini in that respect. Besides double rifles, his specialty of building bolt-action rifles on Mauser actions set him apart from most Italian makers and put him in the class of English London Mauser makers. It was his Mauser rifles that won him the moniker of Stradivarius of gun makers. His bolt actions could be made from scratch in all calibers. The customer's choice of actions consisted of using one of Carlo's own in-house pillar-bedded Mauser C-ring actions, either Magnum, Mauser, or Standard, or also the choice of single or double square bridge receivers. All of his rifles were pillar-bedded, which is a method of fitting the action into the stock using metal sleeves around the action screws, which keeps the action clamped into the stock at the precise same depth every time the gun is disassembled and reassembled. This little trick of keeping that dimension the same improved accuracy. Carlo did not invent it, but very few makers use it. He also employed a C-ring in the receiver, which was an internal hardened ring machined in the front receiver ring, providing strength at its most vulnerable stress point. But more than that, it also provided a stop for the barrel when screwed into the receiver, allowing positive control of the headspace. Because it's a tedious job, most makers just bore the front receiver ring straight through and thread it to the controlled depth. But those are not as controlled as ones with C-rings. We have two photographs of pillar bedding and the C-ring installation. Both are courtesy of Morris Hallowell's Gun Dictionary. Thank you, Morris. He's another fine dealer. It became known throughout the country that Carlo's quality of craftsmanship, fit, and finish could not be improved. In the book, The Italian Gun, by Steve Smith and Laurie Morrow, in the section of color plates of the finest makers, the authors show 4 of Casartelli's beautiful guns. In color plate 2, it's a side-by-side double rifle in .375 H&H with full coverage engraving of the highest order, depicting a charging lion attacking an impala. In color plate 4, it's a side-by-side sidelock ejector shotgun on the Holland & Holland Royal pattern with a hand-detachable 7-pin sidelocks, fully engraved in the Bellino style, showing a realistic scene of 3 flying pheasants in a field with detailed trees and brambles. Color plate 9 shows a matched pair of side-by-sides and hounds on the bottom metal in the realistic settings of fields and trees surrounded by incredible full coverage banknote engraving. All of these depict guns with perfect wood to metal fit. None of the Casartelli plates, unlike most of the others in the photo section, show the engravers' names, only that these guns were made by the great Casartelli. With no engravers' names in the captions, we can see that the authors are celebrating the gunmaker's beautiful guns even without the engravers' names.
After I saw what we were covering today, I looked those up. His guns stand out even among all the others.
I agree. And seeing those color plates in that Italian gun book, I would love to have one of the Casartelli doubles. A website called Rose and Scroll was formed by a friend of mine, John Yerker, dedicated to featuring only the finest made firearms. He's headquartered in Charlotte, North Carolina. He recently published a description of Carlo Casartelli, and I want to read that. The world of fine firearms is replete with the stories of master gunsmiths who have left an indelible mark on the art of gunmaking. Among these luminaries, the name Carlo Casartelli stands out as a paragon of craftsmanship, elegance, and exclusivity. The exquisite firearms that bear his name are renowned for their impeccable attention to detail and unwavering commitment to quality, making them true works of art. Carlo Casartelli's legacy transcends the realm of gunmaking. It is a legacy of excellence, artistry, and an unwavering commitment to craftsmanship. His rifles and shotguns are more than mechanical instruments. They are expressions of his passion, his mastery, and his adherence to the highest standards of quality. Close quote. That's a great description from John Yerker. According to Blue Book of Gun Values, Casartelli's guns were offered in 4 best gun models. The African Takedown was a bolt action in various heavy and magnum calibers with square bridge Mauser action and with full coverage game scene engraving appropriate to the caliber, engraved by a master engraver, bespoke only. The Safari model was a bolt action in standard calibers using regular Mauser length actions with full coverage, game scene engraving appropriate to the caliber, engraved by a master engraver, bespoke only. The third one, the Kenya model, was a sidelock double rifle offered in most standard and magnum calibers with elaborate game scene and/or scroll engraving by a master engraver, bespoke only. And the last one, the fourth one, was a sidelock ejector model shotgun, which was a side-by-side double clone of the H&H Royal in various gauges with elaborate game scene and/or scroll engraving by a master engraver, bespoke only. Casartelli may be the best known for his high-end Mausers. Today, we have one of those here to show. It's engraved by incredible and the incomparable superstar master engraver Mario Terzi. Let's look at the gun. First, we check to see that it's unloaded. Describing it, it is a Carlo Casartelli African takedown model. It is in 375 H&H Magnum caliber, but just as all of Casartelli's best guns, this one is engraved by one of the world's best engravers, Mario Terzi, that we introduced in episode 28. When disassembled in its takedown state, it has an ingenious leather case to house it with all of its accessories. We have a still shot of the beautiful configuration of this gun in the takedown form fitted in the case. If best gun can be applied to a Mauser bolt-action rifle, this one is a best gun in every sense of the term.
Do we know when it was made?
Yes, 1985. Of the choices of options offered, this one has a finely tuned Waffen-Fabrik Berlin Mauser action, with Casartelli has improved with a C-ring and pillar bedding, among other things. It's a takedown rifle using the exact Holland & Holland takedown design as we demonstrated in episode 13. The bolt handle is engraved with oak leaves and has a checkered ring around the bolt knob, ending with 25 rose petals. The single stage custom trigger is fully adjustable, and it's stamped to the maker's name, C. Casartelli Army, which can't be seen unless the gun's disassembled. The safety is a Model 70 style 3-position safety, but with a secondary button to free it to use the 3-position motion. The magazine holds 4 rounds, and the floor plate opens with a straddle release inside the trigger guard. Looking at the barrel, it is 25-inch tapered round. The front sight ramp is sculptured with 16 oak leaves to break up the glare, and it uses a button detent for raising and lowering the hood. The front swivel is mounted on the full band. The rear sight base is mounted on a quarter rib with cross hatching with a stylized ramp to barrel transition. The ramp also is sculpted with 8 oak leaves in descending order, with 1 standing and 2 folding express sights. The barrel is inscribed Carlo Casartelli Concessio Brescia 375 H&H Mag. Examining the stock, we see it has rich figure, English walnut, probably from northern Turkey, with a classic comb and a beaded pancake cheek piece for the right-hand shooter. The fore-end tip is West African Cape buffalo horn. The hand checkering is classic, wrapping around the point patterns, immaculately cut with a tasteful combination of single and double borders on both the forend and the grip. It has a heavily engraved steel pistol grip cap with a trap door for a spare sight.
Does it have one?
Well, let's see. I know the answer, but let's see.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
There's a little piece of paper there that's wrapping around the sight.
A little treasure.
There it is.
Should I open it and show everyone?
Yeah, sure. Just a little sight.
Too cool.
All right, that's the extra front sight. That's what most of these trapdoors are made for, but they rarely get used that way.
I'm going to close it for you.
Yep, thank you. Looking at the toe line of the stock, there's a rear sling swivel and an inlaid nickel oval vacant awaiting the owner's initials.
Is this another leather pad?
Exactly. This stock terminates with a very well done classic leather covered 3/4 inch recoil pad, which makes the length of pull 14 1/4 inch. The rifle weight is without the scope is 9.5 pounds, which is a good weight for this caliber. The scope is a Zeiss German-made Diavari 1.5 to 6 by 42, which is a nice selection for 375 H&H Magnum, which has been affixed with a very expensive and popular quick detachable German claw mounts. Let me show you. I've demonstrated this before in my other. Just press by these buttons back and the scope comes right up. And you can see the additional engraving now with the scope off. Put it back on. Goes right back to 0. Now let's examine the incredible engraving. In addition to the areas that I already mentioned, the bolt handle, the bolt knob, the pistol grip cap, and the sight rims. While this engraving on this Casartelli African is powerful, it is not as typical of Mario Terzi's engraving, which usually has more Bulino realistic scenes than scroll work, as we saw in episode 28. I urge you to review that video to see Terzi's amazing Bulino engraving and to compare his two different styles. A brief bio of the superstar engraver is given in that episode. Now looking at this gun, the floor plate shows a vignette of a very realistic white rhino in a scene in the bush with a bird flying overhead, a very detailed, nearly relief engraving. And just under the oval border are the words INC period M Terzi. INC is an abbreviation for incisore, the Italian word for engraver. On the trigger bow is a head of a maned African lion.
Wow.
With a jaw-crushing mouth open. The top of the floor plate is inscribed African model, and the balance of the undermetal is engraved with full deep acanthus scrolls, which continue over both receiver rings, and it makes transitions of triangles in the blue on the sides of the barrel. See this? Because we know nothing about the value of these guns, here's what I found. Sotheby's spring auction of fine modern and vintage sporting guns in 2020 offered a Casartelli African takedown for sale, same as this model. It was chambered in .458 Winchester Magnum, and it was engraved by Mario Terzi. Sotheby described it. It is built in the style of the Holland takedown bolt rifle. Sound similar? Even the same engraver? That gun sold for $30,500.
Wow, that's a lot of money, Roger.
And many dealers will tell you the 375 H&H Magnum, like this one, is more sought after than one in 458 Winchester Magnum. But for a more in-depth bio of Mario Terzi, refer to the one we gave in episode 28. There we discovered that Mario Terzi is listed as one of the superstar engravers in the book The Italian Gun by Steve Smith and Lori Morrill. And there is a 232-page book entitled Mario Terzi Master Engraver by Stephen Lamboy and Elena Michelli Lamboy, which covers the life and art of Terzi with beautiful examples of his engraving. And here are the two books. That's it for today. Thank you, Heidi. Thank you, viewers, for watching. And if you enjoyed this episode, I invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, share with others, and I hope you join us for our next video continuing my Italian gun tribute and featuring the fine engraving of Claudio Cremonini.
Can you tell me now if he's another superstar?
Yes, I can tell you.
Ciao, everyone.
If you want to get involved with these types of guns, I recommend gunsinternational.com. The owners are great people. I know them and have been using their website since they started. I find it the best source for both buying and selling any great collectible gun.